Hello YouTube, this is Shirley426 and today we have the review of the SHF Kamen Rider Tiger from Kamen Rider Ryuki. Now, I did say Tiger, but in Japan there are multiple pronunciations and one of them is called Taiga, so it really depends on how you take it in. So now once again, these days Gunpla reissues or reproduction is getting very slow these days. Premium Bandai releases, well, I did actually pre-order a lot of stuff. Most of them are getting delayed over and over again, so once again, I'm kind of out of stuff to review, so which is why I'm going into like reviewing other non-Gunpla stuff. Now keep in mind, which is why I have ordered some other Gunpla out there that I haven't tried out yet and that I wanted to try, like stuff from certain kits from Gundam Age or other series. So yeah, but once again, I can only review them only if they arrive on time, so sorry about that aspect. Alright, so Kamen Rider Tiger is from Kamen Rider Ryuki series. He shows up around the later half of the series, if I remember correctly, because Kamen Rider Ryuki was one of the first Rider series I've watched, and it's been years since I've seen it. And yeah, at the time in Korea, they dubbed the series. Alright, so as you can see from the name or the overall design, his motif or his overall theme or design is based on the tiger. So yeah, the character-wise is a kind of an oddball one, but still, what can you say? Alright, so as usual, let's go over some components. So usually I would also show the box, however, it took me a long time to track this one down. I got it secondhand, and then the box was kind of beaten up, so yeah. So which is why I ain't showing the box. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the rider himself. So definitely loving the design here and the colors. And despite being a figure from 2012, the proportions, everything looks very well. And the articulation or joints are also very stable despite its age. So that's a very good thing, because one of the aspects of these old SHF figure arts is that some of them would have weird proportions. So, but luckily the Kamen Rider Ryuki series, I think they don't have that issue. Alright, so here we have one of his equipment. Oops, I think I should also put this one here. So let's go over the hands. So currently, right out of the box, the figure should have these fist hands, and here we have some other hands that we can use. So we have two styles of open hand. So number one, we have this style of open hand, which the fingers are all closed up. So that's that. And then here we have another hand with open hand where the fingers are actually all opened up. So this is more, I believe this specific hand is more meant for this guy, but still we get two types of open hands. So that's that. And then we get three more hands. So number one, here is a hand where you can hold the axe here, this weapon, in a more straight up position, and then the other one hand is to hold it in a more angled position. Here you can see the grip is actually facing a little bit forward. And then finally, we have this hand is to hold the cards. Yes, Kamen Rider Ryuki is one of those series where one of their gimmicks is cards. So, which is why they actually added hands to hold those cards, which is very, very nice. So I think I should show the cards right over here. So you get 4 cards. There are 4 cards. One of them, I'll go over them one by one. So this one is his final event card, meaning this will activate his final move. This is his event card, his contract monster called I think this guy is called Dest Wilder or something like that. Yeah, Dest, D-E-S-T, Dest Wilder. Here we have a freeze vent, which this can be used in various ways. So basically this allows the user to freeze other beasts or monsters. I don't think, and sometimes riders, but I don't think that's been shown too well in the series. And then, because that was only in a game thing. And then here we have a strike vent, his other main weapon, which allows him to summon these claws and use them. They are very cool, and these cards are actually pretty well made. They're not just cheap paper, but they're actually has a little bit of a plastic aspect going on here. So yeah, so they can be held pretty easily and don't get damaged easily. Alright, so here are his weapons. So this weapon, the axe, is the one that he will always carry around with him when he transforms right away. So this is, I believe, called the Dest Visor. So it works as an axe, as a weapon, but also is the main device that reads the card. So in the series, if he would do is that, now this wasn't really too well shown in the series, but basically you can see there's a small gap here. So you connect them together and this opens up, and this is where you put the card in. And then to use the card, you can either pull this down to close it up, or in the main series, he would sometimes just, press the top down and activate the card. So this is pretty cool. Although as a kid, I always thought this was a much more longer weapon, but apparently it wasn't. And finally, my favorite weapon here is these claws, the strike vent claws. So this is personally my favorite weapon in the Kamen Rider Ryuki series, or maybe one of the top favorite weapons, because there are some other weapons I consider cool. So here are these. So these are a pair of claws, basically claw gauntlets, and each of these claws are connected to a ball joint, so they can move individually. Although in the show, I don't think these were, that was too well shown to the point where these claws could move. But still, it was. I think it's a nice gimmick here. Although, yeah, there is a kind of a tricky aspect here. But still, you can see each of these are all claws. They're all blades. They look very cool. And then each of them are ball jointed, so this one can move. This one can actually pop out pretty easily, so do be careful about that. So each of them are in a ball joint, so you can all rotate them around a little bit, and then they can go inward that much, and then outwards not so much as you think. Now I believe there is a way to take these off, but I forgot how to do that. But still, yeah, they don't just pop out in this form, so you need to like separate some parts. And then finally, this is the part that connects the main, how you connect to the arm. So you have to take off the hands, and then you use the ball joint in there, which is very hard to connect. So yeah, and then here for some reason this part also moves, but I think that is meant for the arm, so you can actually have some room to move the arm around. So yeah, very cool weapons if you ask me. All right, so before we show some many demonstrations, let's look at the articulation. So just to be clear, this is my first Kamen Rider Ryuki figure, but back then I also reviewed a rider called Kamen Rider Abyss. Now he was never in the main series. He was never in the Kamen Rider Ryuki series. He was a unique show specific rider that was made for the Kamen Rider Decade series. So while he does have all the aspects from this series, he was never in the show. So I would like to point that out. So because he every time someone brings him out, it does become a very confusing argument. But still, Kamen Rider Abyss was never in the series, but he is based on the Kamen Rider Ryuki series. All right, so let's see what we got. So this is my actual first rider from the actual main series. I do want to get a few more, but I don't plan on getting everything from the series because there are some riders I just don't like at the same time. All right, so let's look at the head. The head definitely looks cool. You can see definitely that beast or tiger-ish look going on here. Lovely visor design going on there as well. So the head can go down that much and then up that much, pretty well done. And then head can't really go 360 unless you move the neck joint around. But once again, you don't want to move the neck joint around because I believe it's actually blocking the way. So you might actually pop the neck joint out at the same time. And also, there's a human inside, so there's no way he can go 360 like an owl or something like that. Now, one of the interesting aspects is that there's this part right over here on the top body. Oops. So right over here. So there's this thing, and I have zero clue how this thing is attached to here. I think there is another ball joint back on the neck, back on here, or there's some sort of extra joint here that connects this part. But whatever I do, it's not coming out. And I've just noticed these claws on the shoulder armor or this entire armor thing, they can also move slightly. So that's a good detail if you ask me. Now, a lot of people tend to ask, is it better to get the Figma or the SHF? I would always go for SHF. I have tried the Figma version and I just don't like it. There's just a few like small details I'm not a big fan of the Figma for the Kamen Rider Dragon Knight line. They call it Kamen Rider Dragon Knight for the Figma because of the copyright or license issue going on here, so keep that in mind. Alright, so, and Kamen Rider Dragon Knight is the US adaptation kind of version thing. So, alright, so that, despite this, I think most articulation isn't too hindered at the same time. So, of course, there are going to be some, but once again, the arm can go to the side about 90 degrees. The lower arm actually can go 360 here. Now, the arm entirely, once again, this is the only part that's going to be blocking the way. So, going 360 on the entire arm, it's not going to be possible because of the shoulder armors. But once again, I don't think it's really necessary for it to go 360. And then once again, bend wise, we get a 90-degree bend going on here. Now I'm trying to be careful with these because actually, yeah, this is my second rider, come to think of it. Well, depending on how you look at it. So I did review the Alternative Zero, which isn't considered him a rider, but when I got that figure, the joint here snapped. The moment I got out of the box, I moved the arm to check the articulation, and then it just broke. So these are the parts that, after a certain age, they can actually get damaged easily. So do be careful. So yeah, and then once again, like we've seen in some with other riders, this lower part here on the armor can also rotate on its own for some reason. So that might be a good thing, but at the same time might become a bother at the same time. And then we have these parts that can fall off for some reason. So yeah. I don't know, because I don't have every single rider out there. Maybe there is a rider, there are a certain rider that has a gauntlet type weapon, so maybe you have to take this off and maybe that acts as an extra connection point here. Alright, so we've seen the arms going on there, and the hands are your typical ball jointed hands, where unlike Gunpla, the ball joint is on the arm and then the hole is on the hand. So keep that in mind. Then we get a nice ab crunch going on here. Actually, he goes way more than I expected. And then he can go side to side a little bit. 360 on the entire body, not possible. And I do like the fact that this is a pretty, I wouldn't say tight fit, but you know, you don't see any gaps here, because the modern SHF figure art, sometimes you could see these gaps between, behind the belt, and that doesn't really look that good. And then once again, here is another aspect that the Figma figure can't do, is you can actually take off the Adventex slide off. So this is their main thing. This deck they would carry around. They would look at a glass or mirror, and then the belt would be summoned, and then you put them in here, and then they transform, and allows them to go into the mirror world. So for those who haven't seen the series, that's the basic gist of it. So yeah, and also this is the also main weakness of every rider. If you destroy this, your contract monster is gone, and they would start killing you. So yeah, so that's that. So yeah, and then we have all these parts here, but once again, no use for this specific rider. I know there is a different rider that actually might use one of these, or that has a parts forming aspect. All right, leg wise, we get a nice side swivel going on here, and then go to the side, almost 90 degrees, and then we can go forward, and then nice bend going on here as well. And then backwards, not so much, because, you know, obviously for the design here. And then feet wise, you do get a slight wiggle on the feet. I think you should, but now you're supposed to, I think this really depends on the rider and the series. Most of the riders that you can actually rotate the feet 360, but because of the armor here, I don't think it's allowing you to do that. So despite having the same type of joints, but still you get a decent pivot point going on here, and then you can go forward and backward for the feet, and then you get a nice toe bend like that. Actually, that might be a little bit too much, but oh well. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the figure, so I'll be right back with his first demonstration, and let's see if he can actually do certain poses like putting in a card into his visor. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we have a demonstration of him holding the desk visor, the axe, and then trying to insert a card into the visor here. So as you can see, the hand can actually hold the card perfectly, and then yeah, the card actually slides in. You can actually slide it all the way in and close it without no problems. However, if I had to compare this with one of my previous riders, the Kamen Rider Abyss, where the card would you can actually put it in all the way in, and you could actually close it up and then don't actually see the card. However, in this case where everything is, you know, possible, let me just take this guy out. So you can actually put the card all the way in, kind of. You can see there is a small bit of there actually left over, and then you close it up so it wouldn't fall off, but you can actually see the card. You can still see the card inserted inside there. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or I'm not even sure if that's show accurate, but still just wanted to point that out. And I would like to mention that the Figma version can't do this. The Figma version, they only give you one card, and that card is also very fat and thick. So, and there's actually no hole in the Figma version as far as I know, so you can't actually insert anything. Alright, so we've seen the axe, and then let's see what we can do with those claws, because those claws are the main bonus or the main thing for this figure. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the claws with the strike bends attached to the rider. Now, originally I had a lot of trouble getting these claws in, so what I did was that I enlarged the holes that connects to the arm a little bit more with a screwdriver, and I'm having less troubles now. So once again, as I mentioned before, in order to attach these claws, you need to take off the hands and then use the ball joints to connect these in. Now the Figma version, there will be like a handle inside, so you need to have the hands grabbing those handles. So I'm not sure which is the more ideal way, or even in the real show how these are, you know, used on the hands. But still, I really love the ways how these look, and they look really deadly and cool at the same time. And that's pretty much it for the review. So keep in mind, each claw of these can move individually, although not really depicted well in the show, but still very cool and deadly looking claws. These are also one of those riders that don't have a rider kick finisher. His finisher is kind of a little bit on the odd one, where he would, if he uses the final event card, it would summon his contract monster. The contract monster would grab the target with the same claws as these, because the way how these weapons work is that these weapons are a attachment or a part of their contract beasts, or monsters. So the monster, his contrapiece, the Death Wilder, would drag the Tiger around on the ground for some time, and then later he would drag towards him, and then he would deal the final blow with his claw. So it's kind of on the odd side, but still very cool way how they show that in the games, especially. Anyway, that was pretty much it for the review. This was the review of the SHF Kamen Rider Tiger. If you guys got any questions or requests, in the comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out of, and also a lot of stuff that I pre-ordered that I need to review at the same time. Now, once again, if you're a big fan of the series and you're trying to collect all the riders, this is obviously a must. But if you want to collect only a few of them, I think this guy can be one of those at the same time. Anyway, once again, hope this review was helpful. So until then, see you guys next time.